Had Powell's predecessors been a little less glacial and a little more measured and done maybe once a quarter for the past few years? Remember back during the taper tantrum, the bond market really initially got upset, and then it said, fine, we'll deal with it. So this is years ago, I think, that we could have come in as an institution, and the Fed could have been a little bit more aggressive in the pace of raising rates. Remember, Janet Yellen was implemented the slowest pace of tightening in the history, 104-year history of the Federal Reserve. So I think that we could have been a little more aggressive in the pace, and that today, Jay Powell wouldn't be struggling so hard to get 4 more rate hikes off.
Do you think that we're near neutral now or not?
I don't. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what Jay Powell thinks. And I think that Jay Powell thinks that neutral is a lot closer to 2 3/4, 3%. And when you have people like Lael Brainerd and Charlie Evans, who are considered to be extremely dovish, coming out and saying that we can hike above that neutral rate if need be over the interim, you saw the meeting minutes basically echoed that same thing, that there were a number on the committee who felt that they could hike beyond neutral. That takes us all the way to the end of next year, in theory, based on what they're saying.
In some of your comments, it seems like you're saying that it's okay for the executive branch that appoints the Fed chair. It's okay for him to jawbone and maybe say, don't mess up my economy by raising rates. But maybe the one thing you have a problem with how he did it, because it could be self-defeating because Powell's painted into a corner or something? Or what are your feelings on what the president has been jawboning the Fed?
So Rick was talking earlier this morning about housing, and that's obviously a bellwether, a leading indicator. We've got new home sales, pending home sales out, but we've got one more batch before that mid-December meeting of housing data. What happens if it's an even worse month than what we're seeing right now? In other words, what happens if Jay Powell sees evidence that the real economy is slowing and he decides to pause in December? That would seem to be a PR victory for Trump, just because it would look like, since he said the Fed's crazy, he was able to have Powell back down. And I don't think Powell wants to paint those optics. I think he wants to truly maintain independence at the Fed, and he hasn't said a word about any of the criticism, which I give him great credit for.
But this isn't the first time a president has either publicly or privately done something like that.
Of course not. No, H.W. Bush, the Fed took the blame for that. Nixon was not, Nixon didn't have the same social media outlets, obviously, that Trump has today. He didn't have a Twitter account, but had he, Nixon was fairly public in his disregard for the Fed.